do a YouTube and LinkedIn Live. So please enjoy this evening. This is a 2-hour event. It's not just a workshop, it's a place for you to socialize, to network, to engage with people. Who knows, maybe you will meet here like-minded entrepreneurs or someone who can give you some directions to go. Before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Slava Baranovskiy. I'm the founder of Elegant Club community. And this is the community of tech startup founders established in 2019. It's a community of early stage startup founders and entrepreneurs in the UK and also across European Union countries. We aim to help early stage companies to become stronger, and we aim to help them via multiple activities such as workshops, networking events, pitch competitions, and many more. This event in particular organized in collaboration with our super amazing partner, Hot Founders Lab at Hot International Business School London. That's the place where you are now. So in order to make little presentation and also a few words about Hot Founders Lab and the business school where you're here, I would like to invite Liliana Kaimakan to join our session tonight. So Liliana, please.
Thank you, Slava. Thank you all for coming here. Welcome to us. It's a great pleasure to both here. How the International Business School is a business school, as you would imagine, quite known and having campuses across countries in the US, Dubai, and here in London, and then in Shanghai. And you are really fostering entrepreneurial spirit and entrepreneurial to support our students to develop their ideas and thinking on a later stage to various positions. How come the cloud out is our internal administrator, just supporting students to bring their ideas to life, and we'll hear later on from some of our businesses and our founders presenting their business ideas. So that's a vision for us to hear their story. One thing about myself, I'm a professor here at about entrepreneurship and marketing and hard for 5 years already. I'm coming from business environment, so that's part of my experience in working with big companies, working with schools, and in bringing that. So, welcome. We'll have a very good session and
interacting and connecting with each other. I think that's a good opportunity.
Right, thank you so much. So as we discussed, this session is a 2-hour session. We have 2 parts, so let me just to show you what we have so far tonight. So we have 2 parts. The first one will be focused on finding investment, attracting funds for your early stage company. So you may ask any questions and relate to that. It's our proposing agenda, but that's not the fixed session. So you're more than welcome to raise your hand, ask a question during any time of the session. Also, we will have 2 startup presentations tonight for you to check out what's the sort of the benchmark, what are the expectations. We also have some mentors and judges joined us tonight to give a real-time feedback and also reflect what can be improved and how to make your presentation and pitch better. Second part focused on exactly how to build up the outstanding pitch and how to make sure that your pitch is convincing to investors and also it makes sense. And also there are some challenging questions, how to answer tricky questions, how to use your body language, how to come up over the fears and many more. So please, as I said before, this session is not just for you to sit around and just to listen 2 hours on nonstop. This session for you to engage with the audience and ask questions, right? So before I start, that's actually the approach I want to have. Can you please let me know what would you like to know tonight? What questions coming across? And maybe if you don't mind, just raise your hand, introduce yourself, tell a few words about your idea, project, what are you up to, and your question. Anybody? Shall we pick some brave person? Yeah? Come on, you came here today just to know something, right? So please. Correct. So how to manage this first fundraising round to make it right? Yeah, brilliant question. So definitely I will try to cover this one. So more brave people, come on, please raise your hands. Tell us what are you up to tonight? Maybe can you share us a little story about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Mikhail. I recently come to London.
Right.
I present the Vertex, which is the photo editor company.
Yep.
Content creation company. And I came here to hear and explore London and culture to have investment and that kind of.
And hopefully to make some connections, isn't it? Right. So you're in the right place. Okay. Thank you so much. Whom else? Maybe you, please. Yep. Right. Right. What's your question tonight? Right. Thank you so much. And any other? Maybe you? Yes, please.
Visa of international student, and is it possible, like overall? Because usually I'm told that when you're an international student, it is quite hard to do that. But I have few projects in mind, and I want to implement them in real life. So we'll see.
Right. So you're concerned just about kind of general how to make it work, isn't it?
How to make it work? Yeah.
Right. So how to build up the startup if you're international students, and I think a lot of students around this campus are international students. So definitely that's a good question, and yeah, we will try our best to cover it. Please, there is no space to escape. Please, if you can introduce yourself and tell us a few words about your questions in mind.
My name is Slava. Originally, I'm from Ukraine. I don't have any questions. I just looking some idea for business, and I
Right.
booked many events. That's why I'm here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is the place to be. All right, so the back seats. Yeah, you guys have some questions, definitely. Sophie, maybe you or anybody. Yeah.
Yusef, and I'm building a startup around automating recruitment, but it's too complex, so we are breaking it down, and we want to start with building CVs, and our beta version of the website that automates CVs will be ready probably in the upcoming months. So yeah, basically I'm here to ask some questions regarding the legal aspect of raising funds, especially for international students, as there is some issue also regarding registering our businesses here in the UK. So I'm more concerned about this part.
Right. Okay. Definitely. Again, as we see, it's not only about the funding, isn't it? We just want to know how to make it work, especially if you're in a foreign country and you came from abroad. Sophie, please join us.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and I'm looking into people development and tech startups and some ideas around that. I would really want to know more about, like, I feel like sometimes we look at a small market in the beginning, which is good, but maybe instead of like confining that to a national small market, finding market segments internationally, especially within tech, because like the lines maybe doesn't have to be so local anymore. And like when is a really good time to go internationally, and maybe is it earlier than we think?
Right. So internationalization and expansion across markets. Yeah, that's a good topic, obviously, to discover. So yeah, yes, please.
My name is Chimboini and I'm a founder. I am going to be releasing an MVP for a life coaching marketplace. And I've got two questions. One is around timing. When is the right time to start pitching for investment? When you haven't created your company yet, or when you are already a millionaire?
Right.
And my second question is how much to ask in terms of the amount of the investment, but also the equity that you give away.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the amazing spread of questions. Yeah, we have one more. Amazing. Finally, you warmed up. Yeah, cool. I love it.
To make public spaces safer to navigate for women. So we're creating a community-driven tech platform, and basically our co-founders were living in two separate countries, or we're going to be in a few months. So if you could give us some tips on, how we can navigate this whole, startup team internationally and how we can hire internationally, that would be really great. So thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much. So yeah, anybody else want to raise a hand? If any, please, as I said, you will have the opportunity. Now, I would like to invite to the stage one of our Elegant Club mentors, Marco Poliafica. If you please can join us very quickly, introduce yourself. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Slava. I'll be very short.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. But I
Yeah.
think I need actually. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
But
just
anyway.
closer. Yep.
Closer.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
I hope you can hear me better now. I talk lower. So I'm one of the mentors. I will not get the longer. I work in the corporate in the renewable energy space, in particular in the project finance for the development of renewable energy assets. But I've been collaborating with Slava now for a few years. I don't know. I lost the count, and I hope that we managed to answer to some of your questions. Okay, and then we can talk more later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have some mentors join us online. I will introduce them a bit later. So as I said, I keep remembering your questions and I'll try my best to cover them across the sessions. If not, catch me after the session and we'll have some in-depth talk. So just a quick introduction about myself. I'm a serial tech entrepreneur. I'm the founder of Elegant Club community, uniting entrepreneurs in the UK and also across European country. Our community is multi-international. We are proud to be so diverse, and you're more than welcome to scan a QR code, connect me on LinkedIn, and follow up basically and ask any questions if you feel there is something you need to discuss moreover. And also, this is not just one event. Before we end going into the topics and covering the questions you asked already, we have one of the biggest events this springtime in April, 22nd of April, Westminster Business School, London. It's going to be also online plus hybrids, face-to-face event. So you are more than welcome to join us. This workshop will be more general about different topics, from startup idea up to team building, up to organizing your teamwork, up to finance questions, up to business models, product market fit, many more. So this session is mainly focused on funding, but as I said, I hear your questions, so we are more than I'll try my best to cover all of them. So yeah, let's start. Basically, we discussed about this kind of when is the moment when we need investments, And first of all, I would like to raise, I think, one of the most fundamental questions. Do you really need an investment? Yeah. A very typical story that startup founders, they think, well, in order to start up my company, I need funding. Yeah. And I need someone to bring capital to my idea to make it happen. Well, in reality, it's not exactly the case. So it's need to be very clear. What is your stage? Yeah. Why do you need investment? So my question would be, are you really sure? And there is a kind of quick question checklist. No, you don't. If you can be self-funded, if you can grow organically as your startup project, or you're simply not ready as an entrepreneur. One of the quotes I remembered for many years, I met one tech startup founders, got amazing fundraising rounds for £700,000. He said, well, it looks like a great achievement. We got £700,000, but we also got 700,000 responsibilities in front of investors to commit and deliver the KPIs and targets we promised to deliver. And that pressure, it's much more important to remember rather than this amazing opportunity. So before thinking about investments, also the question, are you ready for this journey? Yeah, because your life will change completely. But for sure, I'm not trying to scare you. Yeah, it's just about trying to understand what's your stage and where you are at the moment. But obviously, if you have a product or you have clear idea, maybe the prototype, you have team, you have potential customers, and you want to grow, or the best case scenario, if you already have some first customers, obviously, and you want to grow, and you want to use capital to scale up quicker, to grow quicker than your competitors, and you know what is your cost of your customer, how long it will take you to go from 100 customers up to 10,000, that's the moment when you can be confident talking to investors. And definitely, if you established in one new market, let's say if you feel comfortable, you took some market share in the UK, you got some traction, you got customers in one market, not exactly UK, but some other markets as well, and you're looking to expand to new markets, and you aim to launch maybe some new products, new services across your startup, that's the time to go to investment, because you want to go quicker. That's the nature of tech startups, pretty much. It's about scale up quicker than your competitors. So coming back to your question about when do I need to look for investor, or when I need to look for investment, I would try to make a swap and say, how about first trying to find a customer for your product and service? And that's something you can start looking for at the idea stage. So technically, you don't need to develop anything to talk to people who potentially might be interested in your idea. Since you got 100 or even 1,000 people saying that's the good to go, we would likely to use your product and service. That's the moment you may start thinking, all right, that's a positive hint. I may probably start looking for some investors connections. Yeah. And let's do not forget the meeting investor is not just like one-time deal. Yeah. It's not happening at day one, you shake hands and that magic happens. Yeah, you probably can read these amazing stories from famous American startups, but nowadays that's not likely happening, right? So if you want to build a real relationship, you need to start looking for investors as soon as possible, but just to network, to socialize, to express yourself and kind of discuss if they see any potential about your idea. I'm pretty much talk about investors looking for early stage businesses, obviously. I will try to cover the spread of investors. But the good scenario, the first question they may ask, did you get the potential customers? How many users did you get so far? And for sure, if you say, well, I'm just at the idea stage, they might say, well, come back to us in a few months' time. But it's actually a good thing if you come back in a few years' time and say, or a few months' time, sorry, you say, I actually got 100 potential customers. I actually doing this, this, and this. Very common trick from investors. You come to them, you pitch for idea, you come and pitch for maybe even ready product, they reject you. They say, well, it's not convincing enough. Well, we need more traction. All of this. Common case, they actually love your idea. They actually may be interested to know more about your idea, but they just build up some little obstacle, yeah, some little bottleneck between you and investor. Then some smart investors follow up in 3 months' time saying, hey, John, how's your startup going on? And some people say, oh, well, I didn't find any money, I gave up. Yeah. So that's the sign that actually the startup wasn't ready to go for this journey, wasn't consistent enough to follow up. And some investors may follow up in a few months' time and hear opposite story. Oh yeah, I'm still working, I'm still developing my product, I'm still looking for investor, but I'm carry on. That's the answer investors want to hear. So when I tried to build up my relationship with my business advisor, who started to be more interested in my business and started to be interested to discuss more in depth about my nature of business and the strategy and beyond and beyond. We had roughly 50 meetings. So roughly each week we had meetings over the lunchtime just to discuss what everybody does, how do we carry on. And only roughly in 1 year time, I got this question or comment saying, well, I actually like your idea. How about following up and discuss more in depth about what you're doing? Because I see the consistency. That's the point. So early stage startups, pretty much, it's about building the trust between you and investors. And if they see that consistency, if they see that dedication of you in the long run, because startup journey is definitely the marathon journey, that's a good sign. Yeah. So coming back, I hopefully answering your question. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, and it's very hard. It's very hard. Let me jump to you, story. You just arrived maybe just recently, and for you, it's very tough to kind of to find right people, to find right connections. For everybody who came from international places, yeah, and you come to city, you don't know anybody, and you struggle to find some reliable people to work, to collaborate with. It's question of time, but definitely sort of events, communities, startup accelerators, incubator programs is a kind of the fast track doors for you to enter these ecosystems. When I had to develop my own network, I had to attend 100 events a year to build up my network and to build up relationships across different professionals in the field. So it definitely took me more than a few years' time to build up the connections and the kind of number of people working now with us. So what I want to emphasize is that please network, socialize. London is amazing opportunity to meet so many people around, but it's a question of effort first of all, and finding the right communities like Allergen Club to meet right people. And it's double pressure from investors. If they deal with international founders, they want to make sure, again, for how long you stay here, what's your purpose for the long run. If you're student right now, what's your plan afterwards? Are you aim to stay here and run your own business, or you probably decide to go to your home country and maybe to work on your startup idea later on somewhere else? Luckily, nowadays the ecosystem of startup investors changing. So more and more investors more willing to invest into companies across markets. Let's say you're from France or Germany or India or whatever. If they really believe in your idea, if they really believe in your team, most likely they may consider international investments. Yeah, by many reasons, sometimes they suggest you to set up the branch or headquarter in London, in the UK, just to kind of to make sure you build up the relationship. And your market probably not the UK, which is fine. What I'm saying that it's just kind of the question to find the right investors who look beyond just one single market. And there are investors like this, so they exist. And it's a good opportunity for international students as well to meet the right type of investors. And pretty much you also can ask straightforward questions. Do you invest in international businesses? Do you look beyond just UK markets? Do you look at European or some other continent markets? So pretty much, as I said, you are more than let's say, required to ask questions to investors as well. So it's not only them asking you questions, you also need to be kind of curious what's they up to. All right, so let me follow up. Reasons for needing investment. The typical case I keep hearing for years and years. I have a startup idea, but I don't have a software developer. I need someone to develop my product. That's why I need £100,000 to build up my product. So my question, if I'm an investor, why do I need to put this risk in my shoulders to invest into your idea? Most likely it's your risk as a founder. So that's something would be more convincing if you say, well, I don't have tech skills, but I found a tech co-founder. We work on this equity-based approach. So I'm not looking for money to develop my product, but I need investment to scale up my product and spend money for marketing and sales. Some other operational elements. That would be much more convincing rather than saying, okay, first round for R&D, then I will need the second round, third round, and beyond, just to carry on. Yeah. The problem why investors unlikely would invest in R&D, because the nature of startups very flexible and agile, meaning your development will never stop. All the time you will have to come up with the new features to compete on the market and beyond and beyond. So if you need investment to develop the product, how you will finance upcoming features and the changes in your product, which you will make 100% and many times, right? So it's much more convincing and also secure for yourself to have someone based on equity basis with tech skills or any skills you're missing to develop the product together. It's not always only the question of tech knowledge. Some entrepreneurs, they may have lack of the marketing knowledge or sales knowledge or strategy knowledge. And definitely coming back to kind of the following slides, but I want to highlight it here. You may say, well, we are just a super young team. Let's say you're a student. Definitely you don't have 20 years of experience. And you may say, well, how I can convince investors to believe in my team, even with so young team, right? That's the moment when amazing collaboration with mentors and advisors come in place, yeah? So if you have mentors and advisors on board with solid experience of 10, 15, 20 years track record in that particular industries, that's becoming extremely convincing in comparison to other teams. So what I'm saying that you don't have to spend 20 years of your life to become a successful startup founder, but what you need to do is to focus on building up very good quality relationship, not only with investors, but also mentors and advisors. And the nature and kind of the historically, I would say, mentors by nature, the good mentors and the good startup founders by nature can build up very good relationship, and most likely a lot of mentors, they willing to help free of charge. So I'm not talking about those mentors charging you 500 pounds or 1,000 pounds per hour as a consultant. I'm not talking about this type of investors. I'm talking about those people who really focused on similar topics you're working on, and they really love your product and your idea, and they're willing to give you back and support because they see the potential. We have Marco here, so Marco will tell us later on how he defines who is the good startup to support and how to make sure you can build up the good relationship and trust. Any questions so far? Yeah, you fine? Right, let me follow up a bit and yeah, I'm just kind of discuss. So imagine we just build up this kind of ideal picture that you got someone saying, right, if I give you money tomorrow, what you're gonna do with them? Yeah. So, and you may say, well, I will start making sales, marketing, all of that. But the question of your capability comes in place. Capability means how many resources do you have? Resources are not only about the money. resources also about your team capabilities. So if only 2 of you working on the startup, how investors make sure that you have enough human resources to facilitate? Imagine you got 100 customers. You need to have customer support, you need to have some compliance, you need to have some kind of R&D, you need to work on marketing and sales, you need to work on partnerships, you need to think about the business strategy, you need to think about some market research, check out what competitors doing. So many things to do, right? So if I give you money tomorrow, it's not going to solve these issues. Yeah, it's most likely will create more issues because you have money, you have commitments, and you need to spend them wisely. Yeah. Coming back to the point, so you may ask, so how would I know if I spend money wisely, and who is that person who can help me with that? That's again, the mentors come in place, and that's something they can help you with before you pitch for investment, before you convince to get money, before you actually take this money. Because when you get this question, if I got money, so what? It's important to understand there are multiple directions where you may need to spend your resources. Definitely, as I said before, product development never stops in reality. So definitely, if you already got some track record, some users, customers, most likely you will keep doing your product development and support. So R&D part still will come in place, but it's not going to be a significant amount of money to be spent, right? So team resources and expansion of your team capabilities, whether it's again, marketing, business strategy, people helping you to facilitate maybe more people on boards, definitely. And definitely the marketing itself, that's most likely the best case scenario for you when you pitch for investment, saying the majority of money we need for this, for marketing and sales, because we already got customers, but we are not growing that fast. Yeah, so you want to make a market share quicker, and therefore you want to go for market expansion quicker. So definitely it's need to create a balanced picture. You cannot say, well, 99% goes there, 0.5% go there, 0.5% go there. It doesn't make sense. So somehow this structure of your expenses need to be balanced, right? But it's a question of case by case, definitely. So how to make your startup attractive for investment? I think this is a kind of exciting thing, right? Being a product, team, market, time, yeah? So first of all, product first, yeah? If you don't have great product, it's difficult to convince your potential investors or even business partners to join your kind of to collaborate with you pretty much. Yeah, team is the next one. Yeah, so people willing to know who are those people running this company or running this startup. What's the background? What's the experience? How long they work together? If you say, well, we met yesterday on this networking event at Allergen Club and tomorrow we need investment, it's not going to work, unfortunately. You need to build up the track record of your teamwork together, right? Market, yeah? I believe some of you heard about the term called product market fit. So you need to understand where is your product stands across the competitors' landscape. Yeah, how you are different in comparison to other products and services. What you do better. You might say, well, I have 55 features which are unique. None of competitors have it. So I'm super cool, super confident about that, right? So my question as investor, if I give you £100,000, how quick I can replicate these features? Is it a question of time? If I recruit 100 developers, can I do it in 1 week time? Well, some of your competitors most likely have more resources than your company. So if that's just a question of money, fair enough. I just need to recruit more developers and replicate your features. So that means there is no any unique thing in your startup. So why should I invest? Yeah, that's a challenge. So ideally, and the most difficult thing is to find something which will make you different. And what is something difficult to replicate? This is the challenge, right? And then you say, Slava, I have amazing product, I have amazing team, I have amazing market. But it's a question of time. You may say, well, what do you mean by that? If you come back to this January 2020, you were so ambitious to run a travel startup, building up reliable or affordable travel plans for students, and your plan was to launch your product in April 2020. Now you know what happened. March 2020 made your startup not relevant to that particular time frame. Multiple external factors, COVID, inflation, market situation changed. Many multiple factors can make your startup not perfect in some sort of time frame. It doesn't mean that at some future time frame it may not work. As you know, now luckily we can travel. If you run in a travel startup, if you didn't give up in 2020, you still can run it. Yeah, but that was a question of time. Yeah, you may say, well, Slava, you know what? I disagree with you. It's a question of effort. I followed up. I convinced 2 investors, and they would likely give me money on this COVID time because they're thinking, okay, they have some cash to spend, so why not? Are you sure it's the best deal for you? Yeah, even you convince someone in a not perfect time, most likely it's not going to the best investment deal for you in terms of how much equity you dedicate to investor and how much money you get in return. And probably you heard about some words called smart money, meaning what else investors can bring on the table apart of cash. Yeah, what expertise, what connections, what knowledge. That's moment when you ask investors, what else you can offer to me apart of these funding resources? Yeah, this is the very interesting question you may ask. And for sure, obviously from startup perspective, less equity you give for early stage rounds, the better. Yeah, if somebody is telling you, well, £100,000, 50% of your company, how about that? Well, you may say, well, not. It's good. I will develop my product. I still have some 50% of equity. Yes, but there is a big but that the nature of startups required multiple fundraising rounds, multiple. It's never the case, most likely. Successful startups, they never fundraise once. Most likely they make early stage, seed, stage A, stage B, and beyond and beyond. So if you give too much equity and first round, for example, 35% of your company goes to first investor, gave you 100,000. So second round, you most likely would ask £1 million. For example, it's just an example. And investors may also claim 25% of equity, for example. And you're like, yes, 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 yes. You give all these equities. So after a few rounds, your equity is so little, and the rest of equity, the rest of shares of the company is the asset of investors. So when you come to the Series A, or when you need to fundraise for 50 million, investors may realize after this round, your equity will be extremely tiny, few percent of the company. So the concerning point will be how I can keep motivation of an entrepreneur to keep running company if your equity is so little. Yeah, because your journey is about few years time or maybe a decade. Yeah, if you give so much equity and during few rounds, investors will reject your deal based on the fact that your shares will be diluted too much. You will have less equity, less control, first of all, of your company, because decision-making process will include all these shareholders required to say yes for any strategic decisions. And the more investors you get, the more difficult would be to agree on multiple questions. Market expansion, new round resources, strategy. What's your, again, the reshaping the plans regarding the expansion, and many, many more. How you spend money, and most likely you will not have control how you will spend money, because investors will create multiple limits for marketing, for sales, for salaries, for recruitment, for many kind of elements. And one of the typical questions, and that's what I keep seeing across pitch decks. Some startup founders, they claim £100,000 for a first round of investment, and 75%, £75,000, it's 2 salaries for 2 founders. So pretty much they trying to get investment to get employed. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. If you're looking for first round of investment, it's unlikely you'll get any salary at all. You may claim for some expenses, food, travel, maybe some business expenses like going for business or lunch with your business partners, customers, and beyond and beyond. But it's impossible to expect that you will have some traveling by business class on vacation, having a fancy life because you got this first fundraising rounds. Yeah? Any questions? I hope, yes, please. Yeah, we got multiple ones. Nice one, please. Well, it's a very interesting question, and let me clarify, because it's quite confusing. A lot of entrepreneurs nowadays, they use words such as sustainability, socially driven enterprise, social impact, and beyond and beyond. So from investment perspective, I want to make your company profitable. And I expect from startup founders that they will focus on profitability of the business. Yeah. If you're able to provide some social value for your customers or communities or for partners, or run any multiple social activities which are not contradicting to this business model or commercialization of your startup, which is great. Yeah. But if you aim to run a charity-based company, non-for-profit, unlikely you may attract investments from professional investors. You may attract some philanthropists or some people who just want to kind of give you charity money to make good things, but it's a different mindset. Those people are not looking for return on investments. So if you talk about commercially successful companies, as I said, you may look for social value, you may provide some socially driven approach, you may engage and provide some socially driven activities, but on another hand, the majority of questions to you would be how you can make sure you're not losing the focus and you still can make your company profitable. I'm not sure if I answer your question. Hopefully. Yes, please.
We want, for example, 200K for the first investment. How would I divide, for you saying, the rounds of investors? How much equity would I give one investor? How would you decide? I give this investor 50%, obviously not 50%, like 25%, the other one gets 15%. How do I decide that?
So again, the nature of early stage investment rounds, that if you give more than 10% or 15 at the first round, it's a warning sign. Yeah, it's already not looking good from day one. The less equity you give to investor, the better. For sure, 1% doesn't make sense, obviously. But typical story, if you claim for around 10%, 100, let's say 100K, 150 to 150K for 10%, for example, that would be kind of logical figure, I would say. So if you go to your second round and the second investor say, I want to have 50% of the company, meaning it will dilute the shares of your shares and shares of investor, doesn't make sense again. So your first investors, they understand that that's not your first, not last round, obviously. So most likely your shares and the shares of your investors may be diluted. Yeah. But each round should be ideally as low in terms of dilution of equity as possible. Yeah. If you come to big round, sometimes it's 3%, 5%, 7%, but never 50. Yeah, please, Sophie.
So just back on the salary of founders, I've been reading some articles lately about how investment is moving more towards actually founding also the founder's salary. Not saying like £1 million a year, but like a livable wage because of well-being. How have you seen it translate and shift maybe the past 10 years? And at what point could a founder maybe move out from another financial source and full-time into the business?
Well, that's a question. Well, in my experience, I tried to include my little salary into pitch deck. That was the first round of investments. Yeah. So my investor very kindly asked me, well, look, your startup is not profitable. We don't know if it's going to be successful or not. It's a first round and you claim salary. How about finding a part-time job? That was the answer. You may argue with that. It's not about you are wrong or right. It's about, did I convince investor to put money into my company? No. Did they expect that I will manage my expenses myself? Yes. Can I have more investors, more serious and professional investors be attracted by fact that I can facilitate my expenses myself and put all the money for success of the businesses? Yes, that matters. Is it a normal practice to include some little expenses to survive, like food, rents, something like just to survive in these kind of expensive cities? Yes, it may work, but it's a question how many investors will tell you yes and how many of them would say no. Yeah, it's also your choice. Yeah, and I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying it may not happen. I'm just saying you minimize your chances to get investment round. So one more time, I would rather invest into those company or with those startup founders who don't think that quick. How much dividends I will get in the end of the year? Yeah. A lot of entrepreneurs, they reinvest all these profits into company back. Yes, coming back to the salary. If your company makes 50 million a year and you have salary like 50K, who cares? Your company is profitable. You can claim whatever you do to help you to run this 50 million company. Yeah, maybe 100 or $500,000 a year, up to you, but you already have the proof and track record that your business is profitable. So this is a kind of the milestone, I would say, make a significant difference how you can convince investors to put salary in. If you make money or you don't make money. If you make money, you can claim on your balance sheet, this is how much I made. That percent goes to the salaries, fair enough. Yeah. But pretty much if you talk about the first round, you minimize your chances. Yeah, please.
Ask back about the equity. So where's the moment to start giving the equity, and is it actually needed or can it be avoided?
To give an equity?
Yes.
If you're looking for money, there is another option. You can go to a bank and ask for a loan with the equity-free basis, right? Mm-hmm. But if you deal with investor, it's likely they will ask for equity because that's the purpose. That's the kind of their business model, to invest money into a company and make some profits and expecting that your company will be profitable in the future. So I think your question probably more related, when is the moment I need to start thinking about the investment? Coming back to the beginning, if you realize that you cannot grow quicker based on your own resources and you definitely you want to scale up your business quicker, that's the moment. If you're looking for money just to test the market, just to get first customers, that's the not right moment. A lot of entrepreneurs I know actually came to the point thinking, we know how to grow our business, we know what's need to be done, we made our company profitable, we are not looking for investments. we are happy to carry on for 1 year time or to achieve certain KPIs and targets based on our organic growth. Yeah. So I think you can come to your mentors to ask this question when you make your company profitable and think, is it the right moment? Do I need to grow quicker? But it's a nice problem to have, I would say. So first objective would be more how I can make my company profitable and get customers. Yeah, please. Can so is it worth asking 50,000 or? Right. Okay. I got the question. I suppose. So you ask, do you need to kind of include more money than you need to investment round? So I kind of need to double check. There is a power supply. For some reason, it doesn't work. So let me replug. Hopefully, it will work. So if somebody can help me to make it work, yeah, if that works, sorted. So as a startup, you always have unpredictable costs and expenses. So the normal practice to include some buffer or some kind of the amount of money you may spend for some unpredicted costs. Coming back to how much, if you include something like around 10-15% at the early stage, that would be reasonable. If you include 50%, that means you probably estimate your numbers not that accurate, or you need to kind of be more precise. But if you don't put any unpredictable costs at all, it's also meaning that you never did that before somehow. So it's important to include some extra 10-15% for some unpredictable costs. Depends for sure to the nature of your startup, what kind of unpredictable things you may have. And I think we already kind of ready to run pitches, right, Alex? Yeah. So we got a question, and after that, we may run the pitches.
Investor.
Please, one more time.
Valuation of company before we go, and how can we calculate it? How can we calculate the valuation?
All right. So, evaluation of the company is pretty much debatable if your company doesn't make any money. Yeah. So it's easy story when you calculate your company based on the profit and revenue you have already. Yeah. You may negotiate pretty much, right? So there is no just like universal rule saying, okay, you make, let's say 100K a year. So your evaluation would be something like 5 years of revenue. It can vary, yeah, depends on also expectations, how quick you would grow. The problem happens when you don't have any kind of not sustainable revenue model yet, or you don't have the proof of track record. So most likely investors invest into your company based on trust of the team and your resources. That means if you claim 100,000 and you ask for 10%, your evaluation becomes 1 million, right? So that evaluation goes based on how much money you need and what sort of the negotiation between the equity you have in mind. Yeah, but this number never going to be 100% accurate. It's more based to the expectations of investors and based on your expectations of growth. So the first question they will be, can you provide me the balance sheets of 18 months track record of your up and running of the company, how your figures will look like, how quick you would grow. Yeah, that's kind of can give you the estimate. But as I said, early stage and the first round, it's unlikely will be purely validated by numbers. Yeah, it's kind of assumption. Yeah, but it's just a normal practice, as I said. If you ask 10,000 pounds for 10%, doesn't make sense. You'll burn out this money so quick. So what's the point to ask this number? If you ask for 100, half million, it would be probably tricky for you to convince investor because that's significant number with no track records. Yeah. So the typical early stage round somewhere between, well, 50, 150, 20, 250K can be considered as a first round. Yeah. So we're ready to go with our startup presentations. Yeah, please. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alejandro, and today I'm going to be presenting Investing Together. That is an innovative platform connecting businesses and investors. We'll be doing this using the blockchain technology to be able to fractionalize investments with and the companies will be trying to raise capital. Currently in the investment industry, there's several problems. Lately, there's been more volatility and trustworthiness has been lacking. These factors that include a lack of time and clarity, as a lot of investments are very hard to understand, and therefore a lot of people don't even bother in investing. Another thing is that a lot of investments have high barriers to entry, such as agriculture and real estate. Therefore, a lot of people cannot even access that investment. Further on, a lot of times ownership, it's a big issue as you don't own your own investments, but it has to be through third parties and whatnot. And finally, liquidity and cash flow. It's a huge issue for a lot of these for investors. Sometimes, as a lot of times investments are fixed and you cannot exit them for a long period of time. The time is now as a lot of people are talking about the economy as inflation has increased, the volatility, fiat currency is being more unstable than ever, and people want to conserve their purchasing power. As this platform will not want returns of 20, 50%, but just to hedge against inflation. Um, as I said, the facts are that interest rates are rising, markets are down, crypto adoption is high, and people are talking more about the economy and inflation in specific. The solution that this platform proposed, it's a user and easy friendly way to grasp the things. So it's time efficient by being return efficient with, not only for investors but also for companies trying to raise funds, as a lot of times it's a huge issue. Further on, passive income and liquidity will be one of the key aspects of the platform, as investors will get dividends on their investments, as there will be long-term investment mainly, and it will be liquidity as using the blockchain technology, uh, they will be able to sell it in the marketplace. Further on, also with the blockchain technology, we're able to fractionalize investments. By fractionalizing investments, barriers to entry are lower, and also you own your own investment in your wallet if you want it to. The product is just going to be a website that will act as the middleman. For now, this is a prototype that is currently being worked on, should be completed in less than 1 month. Uh, the revenue model currently is going to be based on commissions when these projects are created. sold and royalties on our future trades that this investment have. In the future, we would like to expand to other revenue models, such as promoting projects in the upper part of the website and endless possibilities. To start to initiate this project and set up everything will cost around the 15,000, which 12 have already been invested of self-funding. Uh, the operating cost per quarter should be around 375 pounds, which are pretty low, I would consider. And, and with the first project, all of these costs should be covered if done right. Um, we are firstly we the website wants to target both retail and institutional investors, but due to regulation reasons, we're gonna start with the institutional investors. That will be that we will have access to them through contacts, and we already have meetings set up in place for whenever we desire. Um, it will start with in the agriculture sector, in the farmland. The first projects released as it's a good hedge against inflation, stability, and has low volatility. And the first project has already been talked with a reputable company in Spain, and will wants to raise between 1 and 1.5 million for an almond plantation. With already I set up in place and have current customers. And third on the market, the investment market is growing every year and has no signs of slowing down. As it's time, more people are interested in it, and especially the online investment market. We have some competitors in the agriculture sector that they don't use for investment, that they don't use NFTs. There's also some competitors in the in the blockchain industry. But we believe that we have a competitive advantage. As first, we already have a number of companies that will release projects in the website, and second, compared to the other agriculture companies that are investment platforms, we are using blockchain. Therefore, it creates a lot more liquidity and fractionalized ownership, which a lot of people prefer. But right now, the website is practically fully developed, and the regulations have just been completed last week. Therefore, the next step that we have to take is gonna be releasing the first project, marketing it, and further on in the future, doing similar projects or expanding to other sectors as it can be used for any sector that we would desire. Uh, it's me, and thank you. You can reach out anywhere.
So questions, please, if any.
Yes. That, great question. That's why I haven't researched the web NFT that much or blockchain, as a blockchain is just the method that is being used to transmit these transactions. Is not the selling point. Uh, and also That's why we have a very safe investments. We're not trying to look at returns of 40, 50%, 9, 10, 12%. And I think the trust is there. FTX is it's a case. We're seeing it in the normal banking industry also. So. Yes.
So you don't have your old governments, for example, losing all their retirement money. So it's again another case of this time 2 years ago. There was the case with GameStop.
Yes.
If you remember exactly, so a lot of people also they had mud. Another part of that was the marketing, which is government, for example, they've been accused of gamifying the investment industry, right?
Yes.
So I was then not really criticism, but just wondering how you guys are tackling that ongoing of gamifying the industry by reducing your, by setting lower value to entry.
Even if it's a lower barrier to entry, not any ordinary people could buy this investment. We're maybe reducing the barrier to entry from a couple million to a couple thousand. It's still not a couple 20 bucks that you have to spend and you just buy it. You will have to do research. You will like to invest in it.
But it's just a question.
Thank you. So last one, very quick, yeah.
Just to confirm the blockchain usage there, what are you exactly buying using the blockchain technology? An NFT. And what's the NFT? Sorry, I'm not completely
The NFT is representative of future profits of that company. No, no. Imagine the plantation has 100 acres, and you buy the equivalent to 1 acre. You with that acre, you are buying a percentage of the future production of that plantation. If that makes sense. No, it's more transactions. You can purchase it with your credit card, and it can go. The money can go back into your bank account. The dividends. So if you will not want to use crypto, you will not have to use crypto. We have programs in place so to overpass. No, if you didn't want to, no.
Thank you so much. Now it's time to give a feedback from our mentor, Marco. If I can ask you to come to the stage and give us a few words about your pitching impression.
Hello.
Can you please turn the microphone?
Sure, thank you. Stay with me. So, great pitch. I took some notes, and I like to highlight some good things, meaning some example good things that you use, and something that I personally would work on. And of course, for both them, there are many more, but I like just three and three, okay? So, the first one, I will try to connect with the questions that were here. The first one, not in any order, okay? You started with a problem. That is great. Typically, whatever we do here, throughout the night, basically, we focus on the products, the idea. Hey, I want to invent this product. I want to bring to life this idea. But actually, the first question should be, is there demand for that idea? I mean, I always tell my mentees, never fall in love with your ideas. Because, yes, we like our ideas. That's the minimum, but it's not enough. So you started from a problem, which means, okay, there is this problem for which we need a solution. And it is a good way to start your storytelling. Because remember that pitching is a communication process. So you bring the storytelling into life, so you bring the people with you. So that was great. Um, Another one that I really liked, very often when we start something, we would like to find a problem to everything for everybody, whenever, everywhere. That's not really the case. We need to focus on a target audience. And that is exactly what you did. I think you said agricultural market at the beginning. So even if you think that your solution could serve a wider audience, even if you think that you will have a solution that could apply to different geographical markets, different customer segments, whatever the case might be. But remember, at the beginning, at the very least, because you have constraints, money. We're talking about money here. So I think you have some constraints. Focus on a target audience. This needs to be very well specified, very well defined. Okay, so well done, because that was very clear in your presentation, one of the slides. I don't remember which one. The other one that I would like to highlight. Sometimes I hear people saying, "Hey, what's?" And I think it came out from some questions here. When should I look for an investor? And of course there is already Slava answer. But you might find yourself pitching like Alejandro tonight when you don't have yet revenues, you don't have maybe an MVP either, I don't know. So a slide that was great was the roadmap. It's great to share where you are, showing that you're doing some progress. You started from scratch. Somehow all of us started from an idea. The idea to create these magic events like Slava, the idea to become a mentor. We started from an idea. Okay? So showing the roadmap, it's a good way to show that there is a progress, that you are aware that you still need to progress towards something else. Never hide in front of investors. So remember, like sometimes I hear people, hey, no, no, I didn't contact those, like, this is new, this is... Remember, investors, professional investors, as an average, can typically listen to about thousand, in the order of 1,000 pitch in a year. So let's be honest. They most likely know the market much better than you, than yourself. Whatever you're going to present them, they might pretend not to know. But most likely, they know because just yesterday, there was somebody else who was presenting something similar. So already when you say, no, I don't have competitors here, right? Okay. So never hide where you are in your journey and talk about your roadmap if you cannot show something better, which is exactly what we've done. Let's move to three things that I would work on. I would say the clearest, I would say, the one that I would definitely focus on is the number of words in the slides. I can see somebody already. So let's demystify a little bit. What is a pitch? Why do we pitch? Let's go back a moment, because if somebody asks what is a pitch, oh yeah, it's a presentation to look for investors. No, the pitch is a communication performance for you to gain the attention of the investor, which at that stage are potential investors. And Slava said, now I wish you could listen to what Slava's been talking about in 6 months' time, because I appreciate that the first time that you listen to all this amount of information, it's overwhelming. And there are so many things, I'm sure there are so many things that fly over. But if you can dissect every word that Slava said before, at some point he was saying the pitch is not just one single event and you get investments. It is the first of many steps. So the game of a pitch is just gaining attention. That's it, gaining attention. It's not investment. So for us to gain attention, we need to attract attention. And how do we do that? Building a great storytelling, the problem, the roadmap, the solution, okay, all the things that you want to put in your presentation. Now, we're human beings. And when I say we, I mean all the people who are on the other side. What happens if you present a slide full of text? I'm genuinely interested in you. Okay, I'm not me, I'm genuinely interested. So what do? I look for information. I try to find out things that maybe you're missing because you have a certain roadmap in your presentation. So I started looking myself. Yeah, reach out, investing. I don't see my mobile is ringing, is dead. And what happens? I miss actually what you're talking about. The most important thing. So you came here on the stage to hopefully have my attention, but with their slides, you actually distracted me. Does it make sense? So this is the, I would say, the most important one. Now I'm missing the others because my mobile is not cooperating. But I would say along the line of these, the second one is that because it was two texts, the numbers, which are very important in a pitch and in a presentation in general, the facts, were hidden in the sentences themselves. So there was a slide about financing, but then I wanted to read the numbers, but it was not possible because for me to get to the numbers, I should read the whole sentence. And here we go. I lose time. I get distracted. And I miss that information that I needed, which was the number, not the sentence. I couldn't care less about the sentence. And in fact, if we had time, it would be nice to read the sentence and see where do we find the valuable information within that sentence. I like to do that exercise afterwards. And a third one, so let me mention two, because one is a good and a bad thing at the same time. But the other one is, I don't know at what stage you are, and I appreciate this is not an audience of investors, but definitely when you prepare a pitch and you think about investors, remember that they want to see the market. You said that there is a problem, you mentioned that there is a market in terms of farmers, but I didn't see the TAM, the total available market. What is the, how many people would I have as a client? If I sell a Ferrari or if I sell a Hyundai, how many people can I sell this car to? Why this question is important? Because of the question that you asked. How do we evaluate a company? Well, we need to do a financial forecast. The financial forecast is based on cost and revenues. Where do the revenues come from? From how many things can we sell? How many things can we sell? This is the market intelligence that we have to do before the pitch. So having a clear indication of the market volume is important because you were saying in a nutshell, hey, I'm inventing this crap mobile. This is really crap actually. This crap mobile, which is very odd. And you know what? I found out through my market intelligence that if you want me building this one, I don't have the money. So if you give me the money, I made my research and I can sell 10,000 of it. And the investor says 10,000, £1 each. Sorry, mate, that's not enough. I want to earn more money. Come back next time. Or I say I can sell 1 million. And say, I don't know, this is a good opportunity for me. So that is the game of the pitch, and that is the game of the valuation, and how this is connected to the pitch. I will close, mention one that was good, but also it can be very risky. Use a very good trick. You notice that he was always looking at you, and even while he was controlling the slide behind him, it was very smooth in the way he was. He never actually turned around. If I talked to him this way, he would be distracted very much soon. I'm not really content about the fact that that's all there. So what Leandro did, very smart, he was looking at the screen there, because it's normal. We don't remember all the words. The problem is that if we do in a limited amount, that is a great trick. Because it's normal, we might forget some words, and we end up, yeah, you want to reach out, invest, whatever. But if you end up doing that too much, and you have a lot of text to read, and the consequence in the audience,
No, question.
yes, and there is nothing eye contact. Okay? So I hope that it's a balanced view and hopefully gives you some food for thoughts of things that are cute and things that I would work on. Well done. Pitching is a great skill. Thank you very much. And good job.
Thank you. So now we have a second pitch. Thank you so much, Investing Together, for your presentation. And thank you very much, Marka, for your feedback. I believe it was so comprehensive, and you can follow up and ask Mark more questions about pitching practices afterwards. So now it's a time for our second startup. So please, guys, join our stage. Yeah, we're almost there.
In the past 15 years, the amount of clothes worn by the same individual has dropped by 36%, while production has somehow doubled. And moving on to the consumer price index, that somehow has also increased by 10.5%. Meanwhile, the disposable income has decreased significantly. I mean, come on, this makes it almost impossible for consumers to buy high quality garments.
We've come a long way with CloseSwap, but let's get back to where it all started, the warehouse. Having organized 2 events already, we managed to see firsthand how people react to different forms of transaction, swapping. However, 60% of shoppers still prefer offline in-person shopping. We cannot forget about the rest, and that's why we created a revolutionary CloseSwap app. Zain, can you show us how the app looks like? Our swappers will get an exclusive app system, which is similar to Tinder model, which I assume that some of you might know how it works. But our Karma Points algorithm is the most personalized that retailers ever seen. Therefore, it will enable a quick and smooth process, starting from swiping right all the way down to agreeing on clothes you want to swap. No matter whether it is trousers for t-shirt, you can always reject the offer, accept that, or send a counter offer. But there is one more thing. You can also check other people's Karma Points, since it gives them credibility and shows their verification.
Imagine you're a student in London. Your wardrobe is overfilled, and your disposable income is incredibly low. So what do you resort to? On one hand, you have applications such as Depop and Vinted that allow you to resell your clothes. But the caveat with with these types of platforms is the generic algorithms, and also having a skyrocketing transaction fees. So if we move on the other hand, you have retailers such as Zara and ASOS that allow you. The problem with that as well is that they're major contributors to fashion-related pollution. Moving on to how does CloseSwap ensure that our views is heard? Step 1, you go to an event and stand in line for 2 hours. Meanwhile, airdropping thousands of videos to consumers that actually fit your consumer audience. Step 2, you actually attend those events, and while you're doing that, you stick hundreds of stickers on random people's backs. So if a picture is taken at these events, CloseSwap will show up in the background of those pictures, and you gain attention. Step number 3, you find celebrities and influencers and also random people on the street and interview them on fashion-related topics. Step number 4, you throw 2 in-person events and in order to conduct primary market research. And finally, step number 5, you create a documentary that documents every single step of your journey and how we reached to the point we are right now. So the question you may be asking yourselves, how do we actually make money? On one hand, we have, in terms of our events, we have entry fees and also providing a customer base to our vendors. On the other hand, of course, we have, in terms of application, we have immersive ads, we have subscriptions, and finally, we have swapping fees.
But let's not beat around the bush, and let's talk about a thing that we all came here for. What impact does CloseSwap have on the world? Well, as mentioned previously, we organized 2 events, having more than 100 people attending, with more than 200 pieces of clothing swapping, while refreshing 30 different clothes sets. And eventually donated 6 bags of clothing to victims in Syria and Turkey. And that's not all. With CloseSwap app, It will allow you to acquire new clothing for 1/5 of the price. More than that, we save 33 kilograms of CO2 and 3,000 liters of water per every single item swapped. At CloseSwap, we recognized we needed to change consumers' behavior, and that's what we did. Through creating personalized algorithm, through creating a community, through our events. As a result, people will be spending more money at high quality retailers because they will know that in the future they will exchange their clothes for new high quality garments. We are CloseSwap.
Next question. What's the guarantee that, for example, I like something on your application? What's the guarantee that the client who I like this clothes, like mine, or I have something else? Is it about me swapping, or I can swap?
You will match with people with mutual preferences, and as on Tinder, you will see that, for example, if Zayn likes my T-shirt and I like his trousers, we match together, and then we just confirm the offer, and then we go to pay deposit in terms of secure payment. Yeah, sure. As I'll just show you in the prototype. That's why you can agree or reject the offer. So you can.
Send a counter offer just in case, for instance, if you don't like, for instance, if Dominic has something that I don't like, but he wants, for instance, this shirt, then we either agree on something that in order to swap, or we, if that's the case, then we'll probably bring in a certain another type of transaction as well. But also keep in mind the way the algorithm works to begin with, you won't get matched unless both of you like each other's clothing in the first place.
So here you can subscribe if you want to. He sent an offer and he got a notification, so he can accept that. But he decided to send a counter offer. So he chose from clothes that they matched, and then he sent a counter offer back, and then this guy will agree with that and will go to the phone. Please.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we also thought about including this feature as well, like super swap or something like that. But yeah. So, thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Is that because people are buying things and they're stopping instead of
So basically, with every single, we just researched how much clothing is produced per year. Then, of course, got the unit price from that and saw that if we actually brought that number down significantly and started swapping our clothes rather than buying them from massive retailers, then we'd be saving a lot of CO2 and we'd be reducing a lot of CO2 and saving a lot of water as a result. Of course, take it up. Massive retailers?
How is this being swapped? Is all that two items how is it one? Like if you buy from the store, it's one form of like transportation.
Yeah.
If you swap it, there's two.
Yes. So in terms of our events, of course, you'd be coming to our events with a piece of clothing that you already want to swap, and then when you take it, when you bring it in with you, we put it up on the shelves for the rest of the students or our target audience, of course, to go through them and pick through them. So that won't have any CO2 emissions. And also to come back to your point about when you go to a store to buy a piece of clothing. A lot of people don't really do that anymore. We actually researched how much that 60% of audiences like to shop online. So that to start off, like if you buy something online, you have to wait for it to ship over to your house, and yeah, just goes to show that the majority of our audience will be shopping online anyways.
Let's just say I don't have any funds on myself. If I see something online, is it some kind of like currency I can use in the app? I know that it's actually you guys do this warehouse. I thought it was great that you guys might give a token. So is there such thing on the website? Something I went to and something called home exchange. You can have rent your house out such as Airbnb. But you can also gain points. And with those points you can go on to use those points when you actually want to use your house. Is there something you do like that?
Yeah, this solution is also in process. We also thought about if you really like my T-shirt, but you have nothing to offer me, right? I can send you an offer that I will give that to you for this certain amount of money. But it's in process, as I said, and there is like a lot of possible ways how to uh, do this or how to uh, think about some currencies. Also, the clothes will be categorized, so you will not be swapping, let's say, T-shirt from HM for Dior, because no one would do that, right? So if you want to put on that. Or did I answer a question? Or
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like if I don't have anything I want to swap now, like maybe I see something or I swap in the past, and like you go to the warehouse, you go up an item now,
Yeah.
and when you're ready to buy an item, you have that at your disposal. You know, so instead of having to splash, you just have swipe and you for credit. You know, kind of like
That is
just
interesting.
adding to it. I know
Yeah,
maybe
that's good. That's actually a really good idea. We'll bring it up to the rest of our team and see if we can bring it to progress. Yeah, elaborate a bit more about it.
Thank you. You can follow up, but
Okay.
we have a few minutes to start. Marka, if you can also give us little
Feedback, quite precise to make sure we cover in
Yeah.
the rest of presentation.
Okay, we're done. Great
Thank
team,
you.
great presentation. You receive also the applause. Let's start with getting the microphone, which is always good. And then let's continue with three good things. I will try, just as a disclaimer, I'm trying to quote three good and bad that I didn't say already to Alejandro. So it can be a feedback that is useful to all of you, okay? So there might be things that you did well and I did well, but it doesn't count. We are here just to improve and to learn from each other. So three things that I particularly liked and I would like to highlight because they're a good example. First of all, you noticed that I lost down my notes about the use of the voice. So yes, you notice that they use the voice in a quite eloquent way, and up to the point, so the tone of voice, the pitch, rising tune, lower tune, all these kind of things that make the effect of creating attention, recalling the attention. Plus, they went to an extreme here because there were two different tone of voices here. There were two presenters, not just one. What does that do to us, as in the audience? That if by any chance we fall asleep, the change of voice actually, oh, what happened here? What's going on? There's somebody else now talking. That's the game. Recalling and attracting the attention. So very, very good one. A second thing that I would like to highlight, because this is something that could always happen, is managing the unforeseen and the unplanned. On certain points, you forgot, I think, the words that you were about to say, that you wanted to say in your storytelling. That can happen. We're all humans. The important thing is to learn how to manage these moments. That's very important, and I want to highlight as a good thing because you managed. And there is no right or wrong here. Managing the unforeseen is definitely good. So there is not a matter about you could have managed better. No, you managed. That's already the solution. So well done for that. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight, and that is another interesting thing that they did actually. Somebody asked a question from there, and they used some other slides, or maybe the same slide, to back up their answer. So let me say a couple of points here. Sometimes I receive this question, hey, how many slides should I have? Or how many books should I bring to my pitch? No, that's not the way to do. Your pitch, you should have a set of decks, first of all, not one single one. So there can be the presentation deck, which is the one that you use here. You might have noticed how many, from the visual point of view, was very appealing, and that is the one that you use to attract attention. More figures, less text, and use good of the voice, body language, presence on the stage, and your storytelling. But then you have the reading deck. The reading deck is the one where you can have more information. That is the one that you will send by email, for example, to an investor. You're not there to comment. It doesn't call you, that's for sure. Okay, because it's busy. Investors are very busy people. So what do? They want to find everything in their reading deck. Okay, so that was a good thing. The use of, and sorry if I don't, you see the eye contact at the moment is not working because the mobile doesn't help. That was a very good use of the slides. Having slides, reference slides that you can use on top of your 10, 15 slides of the main deck, presentation deck I'm talking now, that is a very good thing to do. So well done. Let's go to something that I would personally work on. Definitely, I would say the voice, the use of the pitch was great, but to me, I think it was very, very quick. Maybe sometimes we get in that mood when we want to finish right away because we don't want to stay on the stage, so we go to the way I finished. And that is actually what happens when we don't want to stay on the stage, maybe. I'm not sure that is the case, but I would say, remember, you are presenting, you are sharing your idea, you want to attract attention, you want to gain interest. So you want me to understand, okay? Let's start from a basic assumption. People in the audience are not rocket scientists. They need time to understand. I need to listen, I need to digest. Why you do that? So if you speak slowly, you give time to the audience to digest. On the other hand, if you speak very quickly, the audience might not understand anything. Do you notice the difference when I talk faster or when I go a bit smoother? And I think a very good thing to do is when we present a pitch, we focus on ourselves, our performance, our clothes, our deck. Where is the audience in all of that? We are doing all this effort for the audience, not for ourselves. We know already, well, we should at least, we know already the business. So I would say use of the voice, always thinking about where the audience is in all of these. Let them digest. The second thing, I noticed a sentence I want to highlight is not a criticism and nothing personal, but be very careful. The sentence was, at a certain point, this is the most personalized you have ever seen. Looking for this type of sentences that create a sensational effect. Hey, this is the best in the world. That it's a good sales technique. It might create attention, but it might be very tricky because remember again, the investors might have seen the same type of solution yesterday, and they think, no, mate, I saw yesterday something better. And what happens is that you lose all the credibility, which kills the game of the investment. So mind you, in the use of these sensational sentences, they can be good. Okay, they work. They're nice actually because we need to create this effect. We want to gain the attention. We cannot say this is my crappy mobile as I did before. Would you like to get my mobile now that I said it's crappy? No. So well done. Of course you need to push on it, but there is a tricky balance. And the last one, this is a very interesting one. You had a great closure because you used the very staged effect, duplicating the voice and saying the same sentence together. Did you notice? We are, and I don't remember what you said actually, but that is a, pardon? Thank you. So that is a great closure in terms of attracting the closure of the performance. But let me challenge it again, if you don't mind. Who do we do that for? The audience, not for ourselves. So typically, if you talk with people who are expert in sales, they will tell you the magic sentence, which is close call to action. So the last slide should always contain a call to action. The last slide and the last message should always something referring to the audience, whether it could be, we are, and sorry again for the name, do you want to join us revolutionizing the world of clothes or whatever? Something that refers and touch directly the audience. Because you have those 2, 3, 4 minutes, I don't know how much would be granted. By the way, here is quite relaxed as an environment. There are many pitch competitions where you will have 1 minute, no more than 1 minute. And I saw many demo days where I go, there are people who say, sorry, 1 minute's gone, and they interrupt actually the presenter, which might be so harsh, and Slava is so nice, he doesn't want to do that, but that is the best exercise actually. So remember, you close with something that people can remember. And as somebody says, people might not remember what you have said, people might not remember what the numbers that you shared, but people will always remember how you will make them feel. So if you can engage with the emotions of people, that is even better. Okay? So thoughts, I hope that I covered completely different topics from before, and I could talk much more in terms of good things that both of them did, okay? So I hope you appreciated this feedback is just for us to learn all together. And I learned a lot from both of them today. So thank you very much to both of you. And they deserve an applause. So please.
So let's repeat the sentence because it's for the audience and not for me. Actually, I didn't understand either. But I'm
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you the last sentence. If when our company is about swapping clothes, would it be that simple to write something like, would you swap? Or
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It would be enough. Just by the way, we did that. In the presentation, I don't remember now the sentence, but you said, so what do you do when that happens? There was a point.
What do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So addressing the audience, you did that.
Thank you
so much. Thank you so much. It was our pitch session focused on 2 startup presentation. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you very much, Marco, for such insightful feedback. I believe all of you can follow up with Marco after that workshop final part, and we will have some kind of networking session. We basically have around 10 minutes for me to share you a bit more about the pitching practices and how to win a startup pitch competition. So I'll try my best to summarize some points, and if something not coming across, we can definitely discuss later on after this networking session after 9 p.m. So our live broadcast finish in 10 minutes. So I'll try my best to summarize the measure points. Coming back to 2016, I was the winner of pitch competition at Westminster Business School among 80 startups pretty much. And at that stage, I wasn't that confident as now. Yeah. And I was quite scared to pitch, first of all. And second, I didn't know how I can win the pitch competition. So I'm sharing with you some maybe the tricks or maybe the points which helped me to win a pitch competition and what made me outstanding across these different startups pitching pretty much the same. So first of all, it's a tricks you can kind of apply or maybe not to apply, depends on the circumstances. I started with preparation. I knew who will be coming to the pitch competition. I knew the judges. So first of all, I made the research online about every single person who been judging the pitch. I checked up the experience, the expertise, are the investors, are the mentors, what's the professional background do they have, what companies did they invested? Because by the companies they invested before, I could understand which type of questions they may ask. If they have a solid background in marketing, it's most likely they may ask something about marketing or sales. If they are tech professionals, that most likely they will ask me something about the technology part of my startup. So please do make research about the target audience and equally the judges who will be judging your pitch presentation. Yes, that was my first part of preparation. Second, luckily I knew the venue where I will be pitching. So I sent an email saying, can I come to this venue to check it out? They were like, what? What's the reason why? I'm like, well, I just want to make sure. And they allowed me to come and put up the presentation on the screen. And what I realized, it looks so beautiful on my laptop, but then I realized the font size was tiny to see from the back sides of the seats. And the funny enough, the judge panel being sitting on the back. Imagine. So what did I do when I tested this font size and all these pictures and elements? I came back home, I did the pictures of all the venues, and I knew where exactly I need to increase the font size to make it visible. But I did an extra mile. I was thinking, what if somebody is almost blind, you know? So I did a print versions of my pitch deck, and I gave my print version of my pitch deck to every single judge panelists, judges, right? Now we are kind of environmental friendly. What stops us to make a QR code on the first slide saying this is electronic PDF version, you can scan QR codes and they may get this PDF version of your pitch deck, just in case. Because the most common question or the most common situation may arise that they may check up, they may be interested in particular numbers or some particular slides. So for them, it's easy to check up on the mobile device or the printed version. And actually, I saw how they surfed around my printed versions, they checked it up and all of that. Thoughts preparation point was, I wasn't confident in presented, so I need to say thank you so much to my neighbors because I had to prepare and train my pitch presentation 2 nights, 100 times a day, just to repeat again and again, what do I say in front of the audience? Yeah, exactly the same. So I wrote a script, what I'm going to say, every single word I'm supposed to say. I knew this beforehand. So it wasn't just like a natural flow of conversation. I wrote a proper script and I said every single words according to my plan. Yeah, that was my third part. So pretty much I finished with the presentation. I was confident because I was coming to the venue I already know. I had printed versions of the pitch deck. I know my script, so I felt quite okay. So I started to present. Suddenly, I had the row of serious people looking very seriously, and one guy just in the middle looked at me very uninterested, you know, checking up the phone, poker face. You have no idea what's wrong, but definitely something going on. And I started to be quite confused. Do I do something wrong? Is my pitch is not exciting enough? What's the problem? So I've been very scared because his skeptical face was consistent across my pitch presentation. After all of the judges, they gave the feedback. I was scared to listen the feedback of that guy. And he said, you know what? Actually, it was one of the best presentations I ever heard. So my reflection on that, please don't be confused by reaction you may see on the faces of people. They may fool you. I have no idea was it on purpose or not, but I was thinking that maybe he did this to confuse me and to see what will be my reaction. Will I lose my confidence or I will carry on? So please, no matter going on, the light is switching on, you lose the presentation, whatever happens, deliver your pitch. Yeah, that would be extremely helpful. Don't forget, technology sometimes can cause some issues. If you got the printed version of your pitch deck, you're safe. If you remember your delivery without slides, you're safe because you can talk naturally. And then, obviously, I got some picky questions. Some of them I struggled to answer. I mean, it was quite difficult. I can give you an example. My startup product has strong competitors. Yeah, the typical question coming across multiple pitch presentations: how you can convince your customers to use your product instead of some other existing well-known products in the market. What you can argue, they have multi-million, kind of pockets to spend on the marketing and all of that. So my answer was, and that's pretty much, I guess, universal. You can use this as a trick, saying, you know what? I'm not targeting those customers who already use similar products. My target customers are those who never used similar products before. So for them, it's nothing to compare with. That was my answer. Yeah. And I think that was quite convincing. But definitely, if I didn't know the answer, please don't be kind of shy to say, you know what, this is something I didn't explore that much, but this is definitely interesting question. So I saw that some startup founders started arguing with judges saying, yo, you know what, I know better. Actually, it's not that true, blah, blah, blah. Don't make this happen. Yeah. The judges, they're here to help because they are your potential investors, they're potential partners. So you can make it in a nice and friendly way. Finally, the trick who didn't do nobody of people of other startup pitches, I didn't know if it's allowed or not, but I did that. So first of all, I was thinking, what is my magic bullet? We have around 2 minutes to finish. So my magic bullet point was, I traveled across Europe over the summer to record the real testimonials of my customers. So I created 1-minute video in the end of the pitch just to showcase the real people with real faces, with real companies using my product. So I didn't say my product is amazing. I said, please, can you take a look for 1 minute testimonials and explanations why are people using my product? It's not me, it's them. These companies from different countries, different type of the businesses. Here you go. But I did an extra mile. On left side, I had real user of my product. On the right side, I have my business partner. And I asked them to give 30 seconds contribution why they believe in my startup. So I didn't promote too much about how great is my product. I just asked them to reflect why do they believe in my product. So nobody across other competitors brought a business partners or investors, existing ones, or real customers. And I think it was a kind of the game changer in comparison to other startup presentations. I'm not sure if it's allowed for your pitch competitions in the future, but if there are any rules like that, well, you have full freedom to apply your creative skills. Yeah, so I'm more than happy to follow up and give you more tricks after we finish the session. We just 1 minute to finish because we have live broadcast session. One more time, little reminder to our viewers watching us on YouTube. And for you, one more time, 22nd of April, one of our biggest events at Westminster Business School, London, is going to be face-to-face plus online session. Follow-up. Thank you very much, Howard, Founders Lab team, for amazing technical support and backgrounds. Yeah, and thank you so much for coming. So let's continue our talk in that lounge zone. Yeah, thank you so much.